Welcome back to another video here with Studio ST, where we talk about everything that you want to know about. Today I'm doing a different format. In the past I was really focused about production quality and getting my script down right and everything, and I feel like I'm coming off a little inauthentic. So what I'm going to do in this video is just let it rip. I have a couple notes down, but that's about it. I'm just gonna give it to you because my number one thing is I want to communicate and really get my point across. So today in this video, we're going to be talking about how to ace your next interview. Just a little bit of background on me. I graduated from UC Riverside, and right after I graduated, I got into a big four accounting firm. So if that's what you're looking for, you're in luck. I got you, man. Well, let's start off with what is the goal of the interview? The interviewer and you as the interviewee have different goals. The interviewer, their job is to look at your personality and see if you fit in their company. They also want to see how you handle conflict and how you deal with challenges and also what motivates you, because off of those three things they can kind of create a mental profile of you and say, well, does this guy fit in this position, or maybe he fits in another position, or he's just a complete asshole and we don't want him at all, right? It can happen. Your job as the interviewee is to be memorable. You want to be remembered in a good way, because you can definitely be remembered in a bad way, but you want to be memorable. You want to stick in their head, because the more you stick in their head, the more they're gonna think and say, who should I offer this position to? Oh, I remember John, he was so good. Yeah. Okay. You also want to show your competency, and you're going to show this by the way that you answer your questions. Now, how do you do that? How do you become memorable and show your competency in a really efficient way? Because that interview is only going to be about 20, 30 minutes long, right? Well, you have to communicate clearly, and you have to be really good at storytelling. Because if I tell you don't run with scissors, that's, whatever. But if I told you one time I was running with scissors and I tripped and fell and I stabbed myself in the face and it hurt so bad I was leaking blood everywhere, that really sticks in your mind a lot more, because as you're telling the story, if you're good at telling stories, people will be putting themselves in your shoes and imagining the whole scene and thinking, damn, this guy tripped and fell and he stabbed himself in the face and he was bleeding all over the place. Man, if that was me, I don't know what I would do. What if it would have landed in my eye? Yeah. Now that story is really gonna stick in your mind, and the next time that you have scissors in your hand, you're gonna think, maybe I should have run with these, right? Another great thing about storytelling in an interview is that it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It prevents you from rambling on, because once a story ends, the story ends, and that's it. I'm ready to go for the next one. Now, I'm going to give you the number one weapon that you can use to answer a question clearly, storytell, and be very memorable by storytelling. It's called the STAR method. So let's go through it together and really deconstruct what it is. S, situation. Give the interviewer a setting of your story. What were you doing? What was going on? Set up the problem, right? And then T, the task. What had to be done? A, action. What did you actually do? This is a perfect place to insert how creative you are by coming up with creative solutions. And then R, result. What happened? How were you super badass? And what did you learn from that? For example, they can say, tell me a time that you showed leadership. You can say, oh, last year I worked as a waiter at this Italian restaurant on Mother's Day, and I was working from 12 to 8, so I got both the lunch and the dinner rush. So I wanted to help as many customers as possible and be really efficient. So I promised my busser I'd give him half of my tips if he could just, every single time that a customer got up, he would go over there, clear the table, reset it as fast as possible. That way I can tell the lady at the front desk to send customers over to my tables as quickly as possible. And that resulted in me actually getting, quadruple the tips that I usually get, and I was able to split it with my busser, and I left happy, he left happy, and all the customers were happy because we were able to seat them very quickly. That right there showed, first of all, you gave the setting, it was super busy. Second of all, it shows leadership and communication. You showed that you were a leader by wanting to serve as many customers as possible, and communicating and delegating with your busser. Hey, you clear the tables and reset them, I'll sit them down, and we'll maximize the amount of tips as possible, and I'll split them with you. All I'm trying to do is just help the customer and make us more money. Boom. That's pretty good. Other things that you want to highlight as you're answering those questions is your ability to prioritize, right? Prioritizing tasks. Like, okay, I know which one's more important than the other, and maybe sometimes they are equal priority, but I can't get to them. So now you're going to want to talk about delegation, how you delegate those tasks to other people, because it shows leadership. And also communication, right? Because you can just be an asshole and say, I grabbed the first guy that I saw and I said, do this, boom. Well, that doesn't really show a good leader. A good leader would say, okay, I'm prioritizing, and I can see who's available, and I can go ask them, hey man, can you help me out? And I'll help you out with this. Boom. That right there shows that you can prioritize, communicate, and delegate. That's a well-rounded individual and an excellent leader in most cases. Now, the STAR method is going to work great for questions such as that, like leadership. Tell me a time that that you showed teamwork, or uh, conflict management, all those questions. But there are some questions that you can't exactly use the STAR method on, but are very important because they have the potential to really steer the conversation in another way, which is good. And these questions usually come in the beginning. It's how are you doing, and tell me about yourself. The way that you answer these two questions really has the probability or the possibility to change the way that that interview is now going to go. You can end the interview right then and there and turn it more into a conversation with a friend, right? You can say something like, if they ask you, hey, how are you doing today? You can say, great. I actually have plans to see my favorite team, the San Jose Sharks, tonight. And if they're a fan of the San Jose Sharks or they're a rival, that might just end the interview, and then you guys are going to be talking hockey, or whatever it is that they play. Honestly, I don't know what they play. But that's the point. You want to make it more personable, so you can just start engaging with this person almost as a friend, and by the time they end the interview, it's like, oh man, that guy was super cool. Yeah, I'm going to pass him on to the next level, right? Or I'm going to extend the offer. Hopefully they extend the offer. The second question that almost every single interview really starts with, and you can't use the STAR method on, really, is tell me about yourself. Now, this one is super important to focus on. You really need to get this answer straight, right? Because tell me about yourself. They don't want to know, oh, I'm just a cool guy and this and that. I mean, come on, communicate that better. You want to tell them where you came from, what you're doing, and where you're going, right? Now, a sample answer can be something like, hey, I'm a fourth year student at UC Riverside, but I'm originally from Stockton, California, where I worked at XYZ and have experience in ABC. I'm currently getting my bachelor's in accounting, and I'm super interested in this opportunity. There you go. Something like that. You can make it better. But the point is, you can throw in some personal tidbits in there to really connect with this person. If I said Stockton and the interviewer is also from Stockton, they're going to be like, hold on, tell me more about that, right? And there it is. Like, you just stopped the interview and you turned it into a conversation with a friend again. I would always advise you to end off with the present, such as, and I'm studying for an accounting degree, and that's why I'm excited for this opportunity, right? It doesn't matter about anything else. They don't really want to know, like, oh, I'm looking for other jobs and this and that. Okay, hungry ass, go ahead. But I'm excited for this opportunity, right? Like this is me and you, like I'm right here. This is the job I need to get, or this is a job that I want to get, and I'm the candidate that you want to hire. That's what you really want to communicate throughout this process. Now, here are a couple don'ts when you're answering questions in an interview. Number one, don't talk shit on anybody. You don't want to start trash talking your employer or your professors or the people that you work with, because that shows that you have like kind of a negative mindset, and you're going to bring that into the workplace, and they don't want that, especially if they're working 50, 60, 70 hours a week with you. They're not going to want some negativity around them. You're going to be the first one to get crossed off. So don't be negative, don't talk shit. Number two, don't show an actual weakness. If they ask you, what's your biggest weakness? And you say, I can't get off the hub, or I can't, I have a really bad addiction problem, or anything like that, like, or maybe even something like a simple weakness, like, oh, I'm a slow learner. You don't want to communicate that. It's none of their business. You want to say, I mean, some people will call me kind of an asshole for saying, oh, you want to turn the weakness into a strength, but I think that's the best way to do it. And if you can't do that, if you want to go like a softer route, is you turn the weakness into a lesson. And I think that's always respected. If the more you're learning and applying that into the future, I mean, hey, we'll make mistakes. And number three, don't dress sloppy. If this is an in person interview, you better come in there with a suit and tie. It doesn't matter what it is. You can never overdress, but you can definitely underdress. I mean, well, you can overdress. If you're looking for an electrician job and you come in a suit and tie, maybe that's out of place. But I'm talking about like if you go into a banking interview, you want to go in there in a suit and tie. You want to look your best, really. Now, at the end of the interview, you want to continue working at how to be memorable, right? You want to always be the most memorable. So ask questions that are a little bit out of the box. A lot of people say, oh, well, what do you do on the day to day? Oh, right. Okay. That's a basic question. You can turn that around. You can ask something like, what are a set of skills that make a candidate more competitive for this position, right? That shows that you're interested, that you're competitive, and you're willing to take some feedback. And also, it's a different type of question, right? Next, ask if you can add them to your LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like a professional Facebook, and it's a really great way to show them your profile and show how professional and clean cut you are. It can also give more details that maybe you didn't get to in the interview, such as your past experience, your skills. Maybe there's some skills that you didn't think they were looking for, but then they see them on your LinkedIn and say, oh, wow, he speaks, Chinese or whatever. Then they're going to make an assessment and maybe want you more. So always ask for their LinkedIn. And also, that gives you an opportunity to reach out to them personally and thank them for the opportunity. And when you send that thank you note, make sure you add something personal in there. Let's say you were both Sharks fans, right? Well, you can say, hey man, thanks for interviewing me. Maybe we should catch a shark games sometime or something, or go Sharks. I don't know, dude. But you can connect with them, thank them, and make it more personable by adding in a little note from the interview that you thought was interesting. Now, to end off the interview, you always say, thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope to hear back from you again. And that right there is the formula on how to ace an interview. If I miss something, or you want to add an extra bit of knowledge, please comment down below, like, comment, subscribe, all that. It's your boy here at Studio ST, where we talk about everything that you want to talk about. Well, I'll see you on the next video. Thanks so much for tuning in.